never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world and right on time. Oh, never in my life have I seen the sky light up like this. I'm far away from Earth and I wanna know if you exist. Mission control, do you read me? Send me my coordinates lately. Mission control, am I drifting? Tie me to someone who will love me, yeah. Wait, I think I'll last a bit longer. Find another.
Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to another Ref Brandon and the Todd family YouTube video. Wherever you are, whatever you may be doing, thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. I've got a question about the biggest villain in sports, and we'll get to that coming up here in a few minutes. But first, I want to recap some NASCAR action from over the weekend. Saturday afternoon, we had the Ag Pro 300 from Talladega for the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Jeb Burton came home with the win, and if that name sounds familiar, it should. Jeb is the son of former Cup Series driver Ward Burton. Sheldon Creed, second. Parker Kligerman, third. Cole Custer, fourth. And Brennan Poole rounded out the top five. Caesar Baccarella was sixth. Parker Retzloff, seventh. Gray Galding, eighth. Joey Gase, ninth. And Ryan Ellis came home 10th. And that is the thing about the super speedway races. A lot of the time, at least 5 or 6 of the drivers that finish inside the top 10 are not the normal names you see inside the top 10. So watching Daytona and Talladega gives you a chance to see some different guys running up front, so it's not always the same guys week in, week out. Xfinity Series back in action this upcoming Saturday, 1:30 Eastern Time, Saturday afternoon on Fox Sports 1. From Dover is the A-Game 200. Me personally, I've always liked Dover. I think it's the fact that growing up, I was a big Mark Martin fan, and Mark Martin seemed to always run good at Dover. Plus, they've got a bridge overpass that goes over the racetrack, and the fans can walk up the steps and stand on the bridge and look down and watch the race. And I always thought that was cool and unique because no other track has that. Sunday afternoon, we had the Geico 500 from Talladega for the Cup Series. Kyle Busch wins his second race of the year. Ryan Blaney, second. Chris Buescher, third. Chase Briscoe, fourth. And Brad Keselowski, fifth. Eric Jones, sixth. William Byron, seventh. Christopher Bell, eighth. Daniel Suarez, ninth. And Todd Gilliland rounded out the top 10. And I believe Todd Gilliland had 4 straight top 15 finishes. And then he had a terrible race last weekend. And then this past weekend comes home 10th. He is definitely proving that he is a young but talented, good race car driver, and he may just find himself in a better team in the future than the underfunded team he drives for now, because he is doing far better than what he was expected to do, especially driving for that small team and being so young. But I think Todd Gilliland is going to be a good race car driver for years to come. It looked like Darrell Wallace Jr. was either going to win the race or finish up front, but on the last lap of the race, he tried to block Ryan Blaney, and it caused Darrell Wallace Jr. to spin out, and Kyle Busch passes Ryan Blaney right before the caution flag came out, and Kyle Busch won the race. This upcoming Sunday, the Cup Series back in action, 2 o'clock Sunday afternoon on Fox Sports 1 from Dover, is the Worth 400. And this Friday night, I will be at 305 Cherry Street in Royston, Georgia for APW's Spring Break Bash. Now, APW runs each and every Friday night at 305 Cherry Street in Royston, Georgia. Bell time is 8:30 on Friday nights. Friday night, already announced, the Alaskan Stallion, Stevie Ray Frost, will go one-on-one with Jaden Vane. And we're going to have the North Georgia Championship match, Rob Adonis going against Jacob Ashworth. And for the Southern States Championship, you're going to see Strychnine put his title on the line against Pat Roach. All that and more is coming up Friday night, 8:30 bell time for APW's Spring Break Bash, 305 Cherry Street in Royston, Georgia. And before we wrap it up today, I do want to ask about the most hated villain in sports, because I'm curious if you have one. And what made me think of this was the current first round NBA playoff series between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Los Angeles Lakers. Of course, Memphis Grizzlies player Dylan Brooks had some interesting things to say about LeBron James. Of course, to me, even though he was wrong in what he said, I found it humorous because I despise LeBron James. But it got me to thinking that, of course, that's going to make Dylan Brooks be hated by so many people, because so many people are convinced that LeBron James is some great basketball player. But who is your most hated villain in sports? It can be current, or it can be all time, and it can be a player, or it can be a team. A lot of people say that's what's hurting Major League Baseball right now, is the fact that even though Major League Baseball this year so far, the attendance numbers are up and the TV viewership numbers are up, most people say that what hurts baseball is it doesn't have a player that you love to enjoy playing, and it doesn't have a player that you hate playing. And every other sport has either a player or a team that you love to see play, and a player or a team that you hate to see win. And baseball just doesn't have that. It has a bunch of players that go out there and do their job with no personality, which for me is fine, because I love baseball and I want to see the game. I don't care about what you do off the field. That's your business. But if you took the 10 best players in Major League Baseball right now and put them in a photo lineup, most people couldn't tell you who they were. Whereas in every other sport, if you take the top 10 best players and put them in a photo lineup, even folks that don't watch football can pretty much point at it and tell you who they are. So I'm curious, do you have a villain in sports? And if so, is it current or is it all time? Do you have a team that you just despise? Is it current or is it all time? Like growing up as a Braves fan, I hated the Yankees. because the late 90s, early 2000s, it seemed like the Yankees won the World Series every single year. In the world of NASCAR, I always despised Jeff Gordon because when I first started watching NASCAR, Jeff Gordon dominated. It seemed like he won every single weekend. And then Jimmy Johnson came along, and I hated Jimmy Johnson because it seemed like Jimmy Johnson won every stinking race and every stinking championship. And those are the kind of things that if you like that person or like the team, you're okay with that. But if you don't like it. In the world of the NFL, about a decade ago, everybody hated the Patriots because the Patriots won the championship every single year. So if you were a Patriots fan, you loved it. But if you weren't, you became a Patriots hater because you thought they were going to win the Super Bowl every stinking year. So I think sports needs the players that you love to root for and the teams you love to root for. And I think sports needs the players that you just absolutely despise in one way, shape, or another. And I would say probably if I had to pick a villain right now in the sports world, it would probably be Aaron Rodgers, only because at one time I was a huge Aaron Rodgers fan, but in the past decade, he has fallen off the goofy wagon and he's just went completely, totally crazy. So what he does on the field doesn't matter anymore because he's become a prima donna. And all you hear every single day during the season and off season is something else stupid that Aaron Rodgers has done or said. And I hate that. I wish players just go home and shut up. And Aaron Rodgers just cannot do that. But everybody has those players that you love to root for, but everybody has those players that you absolutely cannot stand. So if you have one, I'd love to know who it is. Homes for Our Troops is a publicly funded 501c nonprofit organization that builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans. Since the 2004 inception, nearly 90 cents of every dollar spent has gone directly to our program services for veterans. Visit at hfusa.org. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. I asked my friend why he was putting his money in the freezer, and he said he wanted some cold, hard cash. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.